ASMR. Hope that you are doing really, really good today, tonight, whenever you're watching this. I wanted to talk to you guys about a film that I saw recently that I really enjoyed called All of Us Strangers. All of Us Strangers, All of Us Strangers. If you have not seen the film yet, but you plan to, subscribe to this channel and save this video and then come back to it after, I'm going to be spoiling the fuck out of this movie. But be honest with yourself, because that's what our intention is this month. Is all about honesty. Be honest with yourself. If you're like, yo, Nick, I like this movie, but I really don't think I'm ever gonna go see it, then stay on this video and I will literally kind of give you a play-by-play on what this film's about, what I enjoyed, what I didn't like, and I want to hear your comments down below if you've seen the movie. What did you think of this movie? All of Us Strangers. Okay, so let's get into it. I actually saw this movie a few weeks ago, and I usually, when I do one of these movie reviews, I like watch the film and I do it the day after. I instead wrote it on my laptop. I don't know if you can see, but some of you know this, but you know, I'm like a screenwriter and stuff, and I've been working on my next screenplay. I was doing a series before I was watching all these road trip films, because that's the film I want to make. On that paper, I wrote about All of Us Strangers, and I usually break it up into 3 sections. So first I do like my own log line, and then I do what I liked about the film, what I disliked about the film, what I would steal as an artist from the film, and then I would rate the film. So I have all that here, but also I liked the film so much that I've been reading the script. So let's just, first off, let's just talk about the film. So I'll give you a little recap of what the film is about. I wrote for a logline for All of Us Strangers 2024. I wrote that it's a film about a gay man who revisits his family back on the outskirts of London. So the gay man lives in London. He's all alone, and he's a writer, and he basically is all alone, and he's trying to the premise of this movie is he's basically trying to figure out what to write about, and everyone's been telling him to write about something that's real, that really connects with him. And so what he does is we see that he's struggling in the beginning, and then he goes to the outskirts of London, and he looks at all these old photographs, and he goes to where he grew up, we basically infer. And he's there, you know, as one does. He's looking at his house. He looks through the window and he sees a kid and a mom who like flips him off. You know, things are very different now. So imagine going back to your hometown. Things are very, very different, but you're going, right? It's nostalgia. So he's walking around. He goes to a park where he used to be, and then all of a sudden he has this feeling, and he turns around and he spots a man in a forest. Now, I don't know about you. I went into this film knowing that it was a gay film, and I was like, it's gonna be a gay love story. Stick around, I'll tell you more about whether I believe it is or not. But this man is in the woods, and he gives our main character, Adam, who's played by Andrew, oh my god, what's his name? I freaking love him. Andrew Scott, who, if you don't know, was the hot priest on Fleabag season 2. And basically it looks like in the scene that with the guy and just shaking his head, I don't know about you, but it looks like he was about to go cruising, which, if you don't know, in gay terms, it's like going to hook up. So he goes in the woods to follow a man. What happens is he goes to the convenience store and he finds out Adam is just totally like in shock. He sees the man and he talks to him, and we still don't understand what's happening. And the man is like, he's like, oh, hey, there you are. And Adam's like, what? It can't be you. And he's like, yeah, it is. He's like, and then Adam's like, okay. And then the person says, so so do you want to leave? And he goes, to where? And he says, you know where? Home. And so Adam follows a stranger back to a house, and it was the house he was looking at before. And basically what happens is that he sees his mother there. So a woman comes out, just spoiled it, and it's his mom, and the person that's the man is his dad. They are the same age as him. So this guy basically revisits him, and he finds out that his parents are still alive at the age that he remembers them. He goes into the house. He basically, and like we still don't understand that it's their parents in the script. I'm going to talk about like how the script is different from the film, because I've read the script. In the script, it's very obvious that it's mom and dad, because in that scene where he's like outside the house, it says the mom cries, and you can tell that Adam cries because he's like, oh my god, my parents who are still alive are here. So throughout the story, we basically find out he like stays with them. It's a very cool premise where he is basically they're asking, they're like, oh, what do you do now? They're kind of asking present tense wise, like as if it's like, imagine it's your best friend that you haven't seen in like, if you haven't seen them in 10 years, and then you're like, oh my god, like catch me up, like where you are in life right now, you know? So they're literally, they aren't in the mindset of who he was in the past. They're like, oh my god, they're like, what do you do now? And they're like, oh my god, we knew you were going to do that, and all of that. And basically he leaves, and this whole story is him basically reconnecting to his parents in this house from the age of 35 or whatever, how old he is. And we find out that his parents died in a car crash when he was young. And they're actually, what's really cool about this film is that they are younger than Andrew, like than Adam. So like his parents are like his age or younger. And we basically see they died really young, but we see like some of the really iconic scenes is oh there we go. I was like, my computer died. It did not. But some of the iconic scenes were Andrew's character, Adam, has to come out to his parents because they don't know, like they died before he came out as gay. So there's these two scenes where he comes out to his mom and to his dad, and then you see as he's reconnecting with his parents, these people that he's loved, that he never really felt like he could say goodbye to. He's in a joint relationship, or if you're a writer, it's called the B story. Think of your love story that happens in every film, and that happens in present time, where they're both present, but I'll explain this whole thing later. And I'll tell you this is why I love the film. He has a relationship with Paul Pascal's character, sue me if I don't say it right. And his name is Harry, who lives in the building. They live in an apartment together. Basically, no one else lives there. They're both gay, and they basically end up hooking up and having this beautiful relationship. Somewhat beautiful. I do think it's flawed. It's not very, in my opinion, well developed, but there's a reason for that. So basically, as he's reconnecting with his parents at this house, and they're figuring out who he is. He's figuring out like kind of who they are. Not really. It's more them figuring out who Adam is, and Adam like relieving this guilt. It really, the beautiful thing about this film is it really stems to this idea of like, if you had one more day with your loved ones, what would you say, and what would you do, and how would they react, and everything. What, like, if you could tell your parents anything, if they're gone right now, what would you say to them? So that's what this film discovers, and it's beautiful. Yeah, so as he's reconnected with his parents, he's also having this flourishing relationship with Paul's character. Now, the climax of the film, it's all going, and what we find out towards the climax of the film is that this time he becomes aware that his connection with his parents won't last forever, and that is what the stakes of the film lie on, is this idea of he goes, does this feel real? He asks his mother, is this real? And she goes, does it feel like it? And he goes, yeah. And then she goes, that's her answer. he knows it's not going to last long, and so he's trying to indulge in it. And it's interesting, his parents are also like, hey, we need you to leave eventually, like, you can't stay here, this isn't good for you. He basically ends up, there's so many times, I don't know about you, there were so many times in this film I literally freaking cried halfway through. I actually saw it with my roommates, and I was crying she cried during, like the dad scene, when he came out to the dad. So he comes out to the mom, and the mom, it's a beautiful scene, it's with Claire is her name? Claire Foy. She was in The Crown, she's Queen Elizabeth, she plays the mom, and they're making breakfast, and basically she finds out that her son is gay, and she can't really wrap her head around it. She has this line where she's like, why would I ever wish my son to be gay? No parent wishes that. And she's in the mindset of the 80s, and it's really cool. I don't know about you, I thought it was so sick that the Adam's character was like, no mom, things are different now. And she's like, what about AIDS? What about disease? Don't people shame you? He's like, no, it's not like that anymore. And then she's like, aren't you like lonely? It's such a lonely life. And he's like, well, yeah, I am lonely, but it's not because I'm gay. And she's like, well, how do you know that? And it was beautiful because it really like touched on this idea, at least for me, like, I'm queer, and this idea of like she said like, being gay, you've chosen a lonely life. And I was like, damn, that kind of like feels like it, because a lot of the media, like, and a lot of like coming out and gay culture and everything it centers around being different than society, and like it centers around being like, you're different, so join our club of the LGBTQ community, you're special. Like it's more like you're different, but then it's changed into like you're special, which is great. But like deep down, if you're special, if you're different from other people around you, you're gonna be alone. That's a hot take, but it's true. And the thing is, like, you might be like, no, Nick, queer people aren't alone. Yes, I agree, but that's because they've wrapped their head around mentally that, hey, I'm actually like everyone else around me. And to get personal with you, because we're on this channel, like, I'm so transparent with you because I want you to be vulnerable with me as well. Join our Discord down below, our community. Like, we're all about uplifting and being vulnerable and open with each other, better human beings, right? Well, I believe recently, like, it's essential to believe, for me as like a gay queer person, like, even people outside my community, we're all way more alike than different. And I really believe that. Even you and me, we're way more alike than different. We may focus on our differences a lot of the time, but the fact that we are both living, breathing, thinking humans who care about certain things that are really vital to us, like loved ones, family, being kind, trying to be our better selves. It might look different in you than it does in me, but the fact that we have all those core values means that we're way more alike than different. Yeah, I might love someone different than you do, vice versa, but when you're focusing on those differences, and that's like the era that she was living in, it's easy to be alone. And for me, I felt like I've been alone for a bit. I'm gonna wrap this tangent up in a sec, but recently I'm beginning to really enjoy this idea that I am like everyone else. I deserve love. I deserve not to be alone. Just like you deserve not to be alone. You deserve to feel loved, to feel fulfilled, and allow yourself to actually feel that. So next time, not giving advice, this is also for me, but next time, you like go on a date and you want to leave early, or you don't want to do something because you're like, oh, I want to protect myself, lean into the other idea of like, well, I deserve love, I deserve to feel good, I deserve to have company, and if I'm uncomfortable now, just because it's uncertain, I deserve to discover, I deserve the opportunity to discover what it feels like to fall in love and to have connection. And so that's something I've been discovering lately. But this movie really does a great job of that. So she kind of breaks down, and she ends up not eating her breakfast, and she's a little upset, not at him, but just the fact that he's not who she thought he was gonna be. More like it's like a parent who can't protect her child. The writing of the script made it very clear. It's literally said like, she still loves him, but it's a hurt in the eyes of like, she just doesn't know how to respond. I also freaking adored, and you love that scene where like the music is playing and she's like singing the music and the lyrics are literally her being like, I forgive you, like I'm sorry, I love you no matter who you are. Brilliant. Absolutely adore. So he basically gets to revisit his family. There's a really fun scene where they're in bed together, the mom and the dad, and he like comes in, he's like, I can't sleep, mom, and he goes in the middle. That scene made me fucking cry. It was, oh my god, I'm getting emotional even thinking about it now. So the setup, like, let me know what scenes you cried, which ones you didn't like, or whatever, but the scene where he gets in bed, this is what's happened. We are at a climactic point where in let's say like the real world or whatever, with Paul, he's like going out clubbing, he's falling in love with him, but then he's like lost in a club. We cut to a scene where he is back home, and we basically cut to, I think it's like he's at Christmas and all this, but then there's this really beautiful scene where he is, this is the setup, so once he's feeling scared, and so he goes into his parents' bedroom and they're sleeping, and they ask like, are you okay? And he says, oh, can I sleep with you? And so this big man goes into this bed with his parents, and it's this really beautiful moment where he's like in between his mom and his dad, and then his mom like turns over and they start chatting, and this scene made me cry so much. It was just very beautiful. And it's funny, I feel like most films I usually cry like at the end, but this I was just crying like at certain scenes, which is fascinating. But they're talking, and basically what they're talking about is the mom basically asks Adam what happened afterwards, you know, like where did you go? Did you go to Aunt, you know, mom's place, to his dad's place, or what happened? And he tells her, and actually, fun side note, when I was reading the script, it actually was way more serious. If you remember their film, there's this funny moment where the mom is like, oh, because Adam's like, oh, I went to like my dad's aunt or whatever, and she was like, I went to your parents' place, talked to the mom, and the mom was like, oh, why not, you know, your dad's, and he was like too heartbroken, and then she made a joke. And then the mom made the joke being like, oh, and my mom wasn't heartbroken that her only daughter died. There's a lot of funny moments, which I really enjoyed. Like, lightheartedness, you know, when you're like having a real moment with someone and you can joke. So that happened, and then what I really loved was this. Adam said something along the lines, he said, yeah, as I got older, I started to kind of think about like, and I would imagine what our lives would have been like and what we would have done. So when I would have events, although you guys were both passed away, I would imagine you guys there. And she was like, oh, so what would you imagine? And he was like, well, you know, for my birthday, we would have gone to Disneyland or Disney World. And she was like, oh, I love Disney World. And he was like, yeah, we would have went there and we would have had the biggest fights. And she was like, why would we fight? Why wouldn't we just have a good time? And she basically said, he was like, because that's what families do. Families fight. And she's like, but why, or whatever? And he's like, well, because, you know, you go home and everything's going to be all right. You're allowed to fight because, you know, you're going to be together. And that made me cry a little bit, because I was like, that's so true. There's something really beautiful about being able to be just not happy with people, right, in your day-to-day life, and you get that luxury because you know they're going to be there at the end of the day, right? So you can afford to, like, not take them for granted, but you can, because you know they're going to be around, which is beautiful. During this moment, it's really beautiful, and then what happens is he gets touched on the back, and we see that Paul's character starts to intertwine in this dream world, and so this is where everything kind of goes crazy, and his parents disappear, and he's now with Paul, and he doesn't know where he is, and then he wakes up, and he's scared, and he's just, like, not understanding what's happening, and basically, Paul Mescal's character, Harry, comforts him, and basically Adam decides to tell Harry, hey, like, get this really cool secret. I can see my parents. Come with me. And he takes Harry. This is like the most cringe place. You're like, oh my god, like we're gonna find out that, you know, Adam is crazy. Like, this is so much. They go to the house. No one's in there, and Adam breaks down and he's like, open up, I know you guys are in there. Like, I want you to meet my boyfriend or the person I'm dating. And what you see is like, I think you see two people in the window, and then that's it. The next thing that happens, I'm jumping kind of a little bit, but I really liked, at the climax, there's a scene where they're kind of like, you need to leave. The parents are eventually like, you need to leave us, Adam. And he's like, but why? I haven't had enough time. And they're like, because you need to focus on Harry. You need to give him love. You can't be with us, you know, you need to be with him. And it's kind of that whole like moving from past to future thing. And he's like, okay. So they have one more hangout and they go to a diner. And basically they're like, okay, what do you want to do? We can do anything you want. And he said, let's go get food. And so they go to a diner and they're like, what should we chat about? And he basically is like, let's chat about nothing. You know, all that matters is us being here together. And it is such a heart-wrenching scene. I could get emotional about it, but you basically see the parents start to disappear. And they have this moment where they're like talking about like how they went and everything, and they're like, how, like, the parents are like, well, how should we go? Did we go quick? Like, how was it? And then you see them disappear in front of him, and they don't want to leave, but they do. It really resembles like a loss in real life. It is terribly tragic. And there was this really funny moment, like, I'm getting emotional now, it really like hit me. As I hope it hit you too, but there's this moment in it where the mom goes, she's like, I can't see you, I can't see you. And it's because we know that when she died, she lost her sight. That's what I thought, at least, but I thought it was really funny. Because Adam lies to them being like, you died quickly, and they didn't, both of them didn't die quickly. And so she's there being like, I can't see, and they're touching and holding hands, and he basically lets them go, and they disappear, and he ends up in this diner with like so much food, and it's really heartbreaking. And then, so he gives up his parents for Harry. He goes back, only to find, he goes into Harry's apartment, only to find that Harry is dead. So he goes into Harry's apartment, he finds his lifeless body, and all is lost. He no longer has his family, and he no longer has the person he wants. But then the twist at the end is he turns around and he sees Harry standing right there. Harry doesn't know why he's there. He goes along, he's like, why are you here? You shouldn't be here. I don't want you to be here. And Adam's like, I was just checking up on you. And he's like, what did you see in there? Like, Harry doesn't understand. And what we realize is that it's not really Harry. It's, is it Harry? Am I saying it right? Well, I think that's his character name, but Harry. It's not really him, but it's a ghost of him. And the movie ends where it's Adam laying with Harry in bed, and they cuddle, and they turn into a star. And the beginning of the whole thing, he's like looking at stars, and they turn into a star, which I thought was very fascinating. Let me know what your takeaway was. My takeaway was that Harry was never... So there's one scene in the beginning where they meet, and he's really drunk. He offers Adam alcohol, and Adam... This is like the setup of the film, so Adam's like, no. Like, from what he's like at the beginning of the film to the end, the beginning of the film, Adam is very sheltered in place. He's isolated, and he stays that way, even when presented with Harry, who tries to befriend him, and he's like, no. It's not until he has the inciting incident of him meeting his parents that he begins to open up with Paul Mescal's character. But I believe, after that meetup, he died, and then Adam began to see his ghost, and it's this whole idea is like, is Adam really seeing this, or is this just all in his mind? I don't know, down below. But I absolutely adored this film because I love time stuff, and I thought it was so beautiful. Like him going back to his parents, and then the whole twist where it's like, oh, they can't be, like the parents can't stay because Paul's character, Harry, is also like in that world, and they can't both be there at the same time. So yeah, I want to read some of my pages down below. So I said, All of Us Strangers 2024. I said, this was my logline at the time. I said, we follow a gay man as he revisits his family home back on the outskirts of London, only to find out that his parents are the same age as they died, and he's older now. So this is what I liked. Let me know what you think. So what I liked about it, I said I loved the slow climb of the film. I also didn't like it. It was very slow at the beginning, and then it became very fast. I said I love the scene where he is with his mother in bed and they talk about what his world is like now. I love how it is a talk that we all have thought and dreamed about having. Would our parents / loved ones like who we are now, would they still love us? Love that. I said I love how it was also a discussion of how in order to love and live your life, you eventually need to say goodbye even to your memories. That is something that I am taking from my film. Like, my film is a road trip film that I'm working on right now about two old friends who are kind of nemesis, and they go on a road trip up to Portland to a wedding, and it's all about as they get closer to their hometown where they grew up in Portland, their memories become more vivid, and eventually the climax is he remembers all the memories and chooses to let them go. He remembers, I don't know about you, let me know if this resonates with you, and let me know if you have any ideas, because I'm in the brainstorming phase of it. I'm currently writing a lot for it, but I like this idea of, you know how you remember certain memories, right? Like that we tell ourselves either happy or negative, but reality is there's a lot of things happen in between, and sometimes things will trigger you and trigger me to remember those things. My film, I want to start off where our main character remembers like the main memories. When we get to the homeland of Portland, the memories that he's been not remembering come back, and they inform the memories that he has been telling himself. For instance, the memories he's been telling himself is that his friend loved him and they were really close, and that it was that whole idea of like when you go back, how those memories are basically going to come back to him or come back to you and help to kind of change like what those main memories were, to let him learn that it's not it wasn't his fault that it got let go, that he's missing and not remembering the negative moments as well, which I think a lot of us do. And that is what I want my film to be on. So the fact that this was focusing on memories and letting go is a huge inspiration. I also love, like I said, I read the script. You can go check it up online. It's very good. I love that it's 90 pages. That's how much I want my script to be. And although our genres are a little bit different, the themes in this hit really close, so I love that. I also said I love that the visceral moments of him coming out to his mom and dad and their different reactions. Like I said, the mom was very like on edge, and the dad was the complete opposite. He was like, we always knew you were gay. But that at the end of that scene, I love that you see him like the dad hugging him, and then the dad hugging like a younger version of the main character. I said I really enjoyed the age gap of the parents and Adam, how they're the same. I really loved the scoring and how it really was in the most of the film, and how it really created these moments that encourage you to cry. The fun thing, if you are ever into film, like have you ever made a short film or like created anything, once you go through that whole process, because I just did a short film, when you do post, it makes you very aware. Because when you're making your own projects, you become very aware of each stage and like how important everything is. So now I watch things from like an acting, directing, like all of that, but also from like a post point where I'm like, okay, so that's where they use sound and everything. Like that's how they curate this thing. So I love the sound. I said I love how there was humor in the intense scenes, like I said before, like the mom asking to go with Aunt Mama after, and him being like, no, she was too heartbroken, and I already told you. I said I like that it tackled the idea of how being gay can be really lonely. We talked about that. It tackled the idea of intimacy in who do you let into your mind. I love that. So he's like focusing on his family, and as he gets closer to Harry, he lets Harry in. It's like a heart, which I really liked. I really liked how it showed you everything to you. I loved the song that was playing on the radio and the mom singing it, then to her song. We have that. Okay, the fun part. Let's talk about what I disliked. And I want to know, like, tell everything in the comments down below what I disliked. I didn't like that I was extremely slow in the beginning. So this is what's funny with when I do these reviews on my pages. Some things I like, I also dislike at the same time. So I didn't like that it was slow. I remember watching and being like, this is too slow. This cannot build anything. But in contrary, it being that slow allowed the moments at the end to really hit. So it's like yin and yang. I said it was really extremely slow in the beginning. Like, I get that he's alone and such, but some of it felt repetitive. Yeah, I actually still agree with that. The beginning was just like, we get it, you're alone. Like, get it moving. I guess in the film they really wanted you to feel that he was alone, so they made it longer. I don't know. I said I disliked, I think it could have gotten more to the meat of it earlier on. Same thing. I said that the exposition was created by when he met new characters, which is not bad, but I noticed it. It was really interesting thing. Like, exposition is boring, but then what is done in the scene is what is important. For instance, the family having a meal, or him with this lover, maybe could have been a little bit more interesting. So this is something I'm learning. Don't know if you're aware of it. What is exposition? You might be like, Nick, exposition, hello friend, is all the information that you learn about the past of a character that becomes important for the story. So for instance, when you meet someone, in a story you meet them at like their age. Well, they have a whole history, right? And their history, when we learn it, indicates to us more about what the character is going to do in the future. It just allows us to like get to know them more. And exposition is really hard to convey while also moving the story along. Think about it. It's hard to be like, okay, I'm learning about this character while also seeing their actions. That's kind of a goal. Some people has tricks for writing. What I was just saying is, it's hard to, exposition is boring. It can be overwhelming when you just do action. Moving along without exposition, it gives no meaning to it. But then if you just give a scene where it's just straight exposition, a character being like, oh, why are you like this? It gets really boring. So something that's very important that a lot of writing techniques do, what I noticed in this film that I wasn't a huge fan about, is if you have an exposition scene, because they all exist, it's okay. What the audience focuses on, and I didn't realize this until I watched it, is if you have an exposition scene, have the characters do something interesting during it. Make it busy so that the audience is hearing all this, but they're distracted. See, learn, let the audience hear and take the information, but also be able to see how the characters are acting towards each other. So what I didn't like about this film is that I felt like there could have been more original ways for us to get the exposition. We did like a dinner, and then it was like Paul and Adam and Harry like in bed together. Like, those are organic, but it's nothing new. And so I thought it was just kind of like, could have been a little bit better. I said I didn't like the sex between the two men. It was so staged, and honestly, it didn't need to happen. Just leave it up to the interpretation. The sex scenes in this, it literally made me think of the intimacy coordinators that are on film. The ones there, like, move like this to indicate that. It felt so rehearsed in this film that I think it hindered it. I almost wish they just didn't even have it, to be honest. They didn't need to do the sex scenes or anything. They didn't. It it honestly took away. Like in the script, it's very blunt and very raunchy and very fun, but the film doesn't capture like that. It feels way too calculated, and you lose the magic. So I'd just rather they cut that out. Okay, now my fun part. What would I steal? Because I believe all art is stealing art. We feed into each other. No idea is original, so that's why I have this. It's to encourage me to use it. I said I would steal the memories and the age with the memory. So instead of it just being young kids, maybe it's actually adult Hunter in the memories. So my new film, my main character is Hunter, so he's having all these memories. So I said, what if it would be cool, instead of it being flashbacks, what if it was him as an adult living with these kids? And maybe it's also old Hunter in a car. So that's for me. I said I really enjoyed. I would steal the close-up of the actors, super tight. The camera was super tight, so you could really feel them. And I said I would steal the ending being open. I was not really knowing if he had died or is he alive. So that's all my stuff. Let me know what you thought down below. I guess I'll also quickly talk about the script. The writing is very good. Go read it. I always love reading scripts after watching movies. It's kind of cool to see what translated and what didn't. The script is interesting because you know earlier on that it's his parents, just by the character names, mom and dad. It's different reading it than watching it, because when you know that, the beats hit a little bit more, versus when you watch it, it's more of a subtle creep up. You don't really realize it's the parents until the end of that first scene, which isn't bad, it's just different. They cut some stuff, which is really interesting. They cut a lot of hairy scenes, Paul Mescal scenes. There were some scenes in the original script where he was alone, he was yelling in his room. There are also a scene at the end where he repeats what his mom told him to Paul's character, where he's like, maybe it doesn't matter, maybe we just need to be together right now. And maybe that is in the film, I kind of forget, but go check out the script. It's great. It's also great if you like writing, it'll help you learn. But that is all. Give me a like if you like this video. Tell me your thoughts, I really want to know. And subscribe, we're almost at 3,000 on this channel, how cool. Join our awesome community Discord, and if you really want to support the channel, press that join button down below. Grow your own bee, it's our mascot. Helps out a lot, means the world to me, and I hope you just have a wonderful night and life. Remember to be very easy on yourself. You're growing, allow yourself to grow into the human you want to be, and maybe you aren't allowing yourself to be. Just allow yourself to grow, okay? It's scary, but it's scarier and feels worse when you just hinder yourself. I'm gonna say goodbye, but before I even say that, I just want to talk a little bit about that. I've been noticing, for me, something that's been bringing me peace is, for a really long time, I've been holding on to this idea of like who I should be, and more importantly, what I should be growing into. And so it's almost been like I've been constraining myself on the sides and only been allowing myself to go one way, when I just want to burst out all directions. And that might be with you too. So if you're having a hard time, if you're being very difficult on yourself, ask yourself, what am I not allowing myself to grow in, and why is that the case? Like, really ask yourself. This month, our whole intention, because we moved from weekly intentions to monthly intentions, is honesty. So this month, we're working on how do we stay honest with ourselves and others. Ask yourself, how are you being honest with yourself and how you're growing, how you're being nice to yourself, who you are, who you want to be. So those are a lot of deep questions, a lot of serious questions, and you don't need to answer them now, but just start to percolate. I'm here to remind you that you have a friend in me. You have a friend in all of us on this community. We all are loving and kind and rooting for each other, no matter how different we are, no matter how different we look and sound and act like. You have found a family, and you're doing great. So relax, sleep tight, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in my next video, my friend. Thanks for supporting. Lots of love.